The following presentation contains graphic details, description of the crime scene, sexual assault, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aisha Noor, or you can just call me Noor. Well, here I do makeup while telling you murder cases that keep me up all night. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and click that bell icon down below. Support a sister. Without any further ado, let's jump into the video. And today we are going to talk about the case of Becky Brown, a girl whose death was 19 years in the making. It's a very sad and frustrating story. So let's jump into the video. My eyebrows are already done before. So yeah. In 1973, Becky Brown was attacked on a bridge and had a near-death experience. Then 19 years later, she died on the same bridge. The 37-year-old who fell more than 100 feet down to her death in the waters of the North Plate Bridge. Wow, that's devastating. And a lot of people do believe that her death was 19 years in the making, and you'll get to see the thought behind this as the story goes on. So picture this. Becky was just 18 years old. She was very healthy, she was fit. Baby girl has never broken a single bone in her life before, and now she's thrown down this bridge more than 100 feet. She feels like she has broken all the bones in her body. She is in so much pain. She's never felt like this before. She feels like everything is literally shattered, and the only distinctive memory she currently has of her being thrown is the only distinctive memory is of her being thrown down this bridge. But then she didn't fall into the waters. Instead, she fell onto a rock that extended into the cold waters of the river. Just imagine how painful that is, and you survived that. She is one strong girl, and she's in pain, like I said, and she's trying so much to hold on to her dear life. And the currents, it's cold, it was also winter time at this time, so she's having a hard time by now. She held on so tight to the rocks that her pants literally slid off. So she was left naked, waist down. And mind you, she shattered her pelvic bone completely. So just thinking about it, ouch. And it's a cold night, she's alone. At this time, her legs aren't even working. She manages to do all that she can, and she crawls out, reaching out for more rocks. And she really wants to scream so bad due to the pain, but she is worried that the two men who, threw her down the bridge are still around. So she really is not screaming. She's just like, all that pain, she's holding it in because she's afraid that those guys are still coming back for her. And imagine this, she was so hurt and in so much pain that her left eye, it was swollen shut. She could not see even like anything in front of her. She could not see. She could not see. Her legs were broken. Her legs weren't working. She's in so much pain. Blood. She had blood all over her. It was a really bad night. And not only that, she wasn't like left at in the woods somewhere. She was in this cold waters, and the currents were really strong, and then she was trying to crawl up the rocks, which obviously were cutting her. It was a really bad night for Becky Brown. And the only thing, she did manage to like crawl out, and she hid between two huge rocks. And the only thing that kept her going, her mantra for that night was, do not fall asleep, Becky, do not fall asleep, because she knew if she fell asleep, that's it, she will die, and she did not want to die at all. And soon after, her breathing did start to slow down, and that is when it hit her. She wasn't alone. My sister, where's my sister? I was with my sister. And then like she realized damn, my sister was thrown down the bridge too. So we do learn later on that Becky was not alone. She was with her 11-year-old sister Amy. Amy was such a sweet girl. She was, she liked having fun. She was a really nice kid. And you might wonder, like, what is this 18-year-old and her 11-year-old sister doing out, at this late hour, and them ending up being thrown off the bridge? And Amy did unfortunately pass away. Becky did survive for the first time. The first round she survived. So we'll get into the story. And this story really, like, it shows you that anything can happen to you at any time. Like, some things will happen to you and you just do not see it coming. Trust me, because these two girls did not see this coming. So Becky tries to, she was like, I cannot stay here between these two rocks. It's cold, the waters are, it's a mess. So she tries to, like, pull herself up and reaches to the main road, and she does. But imagine when she was being thrown, when this incident was happening, it was around, like, say, like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., somewhere. And by the time she did manage to actually crawl, like, literally, because she had to, like, take her legs because they weren't working and, like, pull them. It was so bad. It was tiresome. It was painful, exhausting. She's already, like, almost dead at this time. It was 8 in the morning, 8 a.m. You can imagine the willpower this girl had. And the only thing she later said was that she just wanted those people to, she didn't want them to go, like, scot-free. She just wanted to avenge for her sister's death. And that's the only thing that really kept her going, not even herself, her sister, because she was like, my sister. And later on, when the paramedics were, like, attending to her, they said that she was, yes, in pain and all these things, but all of a sudden her emotions changed to, like, anger. And she was just like, those people, they have to be, I need those people in jail. They cannot do this again, because it seems like they are used to doing this. I'll get now into the actual main part of the story of what happened. So all of this takes place in Casper, Wyoming, and in the other side of town there was a resident by the name of Jerry Jenkins. He's a very bad man. He's a horrible person and a very pivotal part of this story. He looked harmless. He looked more harmless than he is harmful, but as we'll all get to know, he is nothing but harmless. He is the definition of harmful. He puts the H in harmful. Like, I literally hate this guy. Jerry was no stranger with the authorities. He had been arrested a couple of times, before even he reached 18. Can you imagine, before he reached 18, he was arrested 10 times or more? Imagine how bad and he was. And this guy did participate in a gang rape of his ex-girlfriend. And this is what happened. And he called his ex-girlfriend and was like, yo, we and our friends, we can just hang out. And she was like, yeah, I've dated this guy before. So she had no reason to not believe him. And he really looked, he didn't look that dangerous, but he was just a douchebag. That's why she left him. And he was like, okay, we'll hang out. And when she entered the car, there were other two men, one of which was the brother to Jerry's best friend. So the brother to this guy's best friend did participate in the gang rape of his ex-girlfriend. Bad news. Yeah. Anyway, so she enters the car and they started hanging out, drinking and all. And then they turned on her and did rape her, and they told her if she went to police, no one will believe her. But obviously she went to the police and she was like, these guys did, did assault me sexually, and they were caught. But what the defense was saying was like, are you sure they raped you, or you just wanted to actually engage in sexual activities with both women? I mean, for all we know, you've dated one of them. And she was so traumatized by this that she did not even go to the second hearing. She was like, I can't do this. And they did spend some time in prison, but that was just right about it. She was not able to continue with the hearing at all because she was traumatized. So as you already know, this is why I don't like this guy. He is bad news as it is. And at this time of this case of Becky Brown happening, he was 29 years old, and he had a girlfriend / wife who was 18 years old. The age gap, wow. And by this time they had 2 kids. Jerry. Anyway, he was a definition of horrible, the most horrible American dad. He never wanted to take care of his kids. He wanted to just hang out with his best friend. We'll get into his best friend in just a couple, because he's also a very pivotal part of this story. He just wanted to hang out with his best friend, drinking, playing pool, poker, all day long. That is all they wanted to do. So this guy, this is what he will do. He'd find a job, and he'd go and tell his girlfriend / wifey that, I have a problem at work. I'm not feeling comfortable there. He really never wanted to work. He'll tell his wife I'm not happy at that, at my job. My boss doesn't understand me. All this is just for him to evade work and just to hang out all day long. You have to work. And on this day that it actually happened, wait, that will come. Let's get into Jerry's best friend. His name is Ron Kennedy. Ron Kennedy was 22 years old. So his best friend is 29, he's 22. And by the time he was 18, this guy, being no different from Jerry Jenkins, actually being worse than Jerry, he had been arrested 20 times, if not more. Can you imagine? He was arrested, the number of times he was arrested was more than the number of years he was alive. On the other side of town, Becky Brown's family was living there. They were a happy family. Becky's mom, her name was Tori, and she was an amazing mom. She had 4 daughters, and Amy, one of the sisters. Tori had four kids, and Amy was one of the sisters to Becky. Becky was her firstborn daughter, and Amy, we're only going to touch on Amy because she is also a pivotal part of this case rather. So Becky and Amy got along very well, them being 18 and 11 respectively, and Becky was described by people to be very beautiful. She was very popular. She was very popular and she was a very smart girl. Amy, on the other hand, was really not so much like her sister. She was a bit rough. She was known to be a little bit boyish. And Amy, she had a signature look. So Amy had to match her bow to her t-shirt. If her bow do not match her t-shirt, she is not going to school. She is not getting out of that door. That was her uniform for every day. So on this particular day, Amy had been hanging out with her friend like the whole day, eating, playing, and by the time she was going home, it was around like 9 p.m. And as she reached the front door, Becky on the other hand was like coming out, and she told Amy, yo, do you want to go with me to the convenience store? Mom sent me to the convenience store. And Amy was like, did she give you extra money for candy? This is the thing with Amy. She was known for, she will never miss a chance to buy candy at all times. If anything with Amy, she will never miss that chance. So Becky was like, yeah, she gave me extra money for candy. Like, okay, good, hop on. And they went to the convenience store. Now let's jump to this other side. On that day, Jerry's wife was waiting on Jerry to like come and pick her up and go to the hospital to pick their newborn baby. But no, Jerry was like, no, who's going to take the award for the worst dad ever? Obviously me. So he didn't go to pick his newborn baby. So his wife asked her friend, and she was like, yo, can you come pick me up and take me to the hospital? I really need to go pick up my new baby. And the friend was like, where's your husband? She's like, he was to come, but he's not coming. I think he's at work. But when she called her workplace, the boss was like, Jerry has not come to work today. Jerry has not showed up to work for a couple of days. We are thinking of firing him. And she's like, okay, thank you so much. So she hangs up and she was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to pick my baby, and I am going to go. I am not going to go through this again. She was done. So Ron and Jerry had been hanging out the whole day, and they were out of cigarettes, and they wanted to go to like a restaurant to get some food, but they decided otherwise. So they went to a convenience store to pick up some food, cigarettes, some drinks maybe. And at the same time they are pulling in, the same time Amy and Becky are pulling in, and Ron sees this beautiful brunette girl, and he tells Jerry like, yo, I want to talk to her. Jerry's like, okay, why are you telling me? Go talk to her if you want to. He's like, I have a better idea. He's like, oh no, what idea do you have? So this guy got out of his car. Mind you, at that time, Amy and Becky had already were inside the store. So he got out of the car and he slashed Becky's car tire. So when Becky finished her shopping with her sister, they got back into the car, and as they were pulling out and they wanted to drive away, she realized something is wrong with her tire, and she got out. So she started cussing like, what are the chances I just got this exact same tire made last week? So this innocent looking, he was really nice looking, not really nice looking, he was harmless looking. This harmless looking fella came and was like, what's the problem? And she's like, oh, my tire, but don't worry, I got this. She's like, no, we have an extra tire, we are going to help you, we'll tow the car to a nearby petrol station or like mechanic, we can see. And by this time, mind you, it's really late, it's getting really late. And she's like, are you serious? Like, yeah, I'll help you. Me and my friend, we're going to help you. She's like, you guys are, oh my god, you will have saved me a lot. So she tells Amy to go back into the store and call their mom up and explain to her that they will be running a little bit late, and tell her that some two amazing guys are going to help her because of the tire. So, and at this time Amy had some change. She obviously will use this chance to go and buy more candy, and that is also going to play a part later on in the story. So these guys took Becky's car, and Becky was like, I'll just stay here. And these guys went, but they did not even like 20 minutes were over and they were back. So she's like, whoa, you guys are back real fast. I mean, he's like, yeah, there's no like mechanics any nearby. Like, we couldn't, in short, they told her that they couldn't find any help, but we can try to fix this tire ourselves. That's what they were telling her. And she was like, okay, fine. So they got under the car and they were trying to fix the car, but instead they were like really messing up her car even more. So they eventually tell Becky that they cannot fix her car, in short, and what they can do is that they can really drop them off where they're going. So she was more than happy to do so. And when Amy got out of the store after calling their mom and telling her what was up, she came in and she just slid in the car because they didn't have anything to like worry about. And as Becky was entering the car, Ron pulled out a knife and put it onto her rib cage, like, enter. And later on she describes this as it really confused her, because she was like, I was going to enter in the car either way, so what were you doing this? But my guess, he was just it's just a power dynamic, just to show like, I'm in control. Anyway, so they got in the car, they drove around for a couple of hours before they ended in the bridge. And mind you, all this time while they're driving around, they were like, it wasn't a smooth drive. They were torturing them mentally. This is what one of the guys was doing. Amy and Becky were on the back seat seated, and one of the guys would take a knife and, like, that game we used to play in school, you'd put your hand down like this and someone would come with like a pen or something sharp and do this while their eyes were closed. He would play that with their bodies, to the point that when the investigators later on retrieve the car, they will find knife markings on the back seat. Like, there was an adult seated on this side of the car and there was a child seated on this side of the car. Can you imagine how horrifying that must be and how traumatizing that must be, especially for Amy? Amy kept on blaming herself and saying that it's her fault because she took time to like buy extra candy. She didn't blame herself. She didn't know that this really had nothing to do to her. And Becky tried to like consult her and be like, no, it's okay, it's not your fault. Amy did blame her, but this was not her fault. This was those two stupid heads' fault. I really hate these guys because they had really nothing better to do. And when they reached, they did drive around, like I mentioned earlier. They ended up in the the bridge under the North Platte River, and that is when Ron proceeded to sexually assault Becky. But Becky, mind you, all she could say after having she was a virgin at that moment, and she was like, please don't do this. But it's like, this guy is so sadistic that it's almost like this gave him pleasure, and the zeal to go on and to keep on assaulting Becky. And after he was done, she told him that, thank you did not do this in front of my younger sister. I wouldn't have wanted Amy to see this. And when they got to the car expecting Amy to be around, Amy was nowhere to be seen. So Becky asked one of the guys, like, where's my little sister? And they're like, oh, she's by the bridge. You can go see her. We'll take you to her. And she's like, okay, take me to her. So, but by this time, they had already like thrown they had already thrown Amy down the bridge. She had already, gone by this time, unbeknownst to Becky. So when she went to the bridge, she did not see her sister, and it hit her. These guys killed my sister. These guys threw my sister, and obviously they wouldn't let her just go like that. So they proceeded to throw Amy down the bridge, and stupid men. They were not only stupid mentally, but they were physically. Can you imagine? It was so difficult for them to throw Becky off the bridge. Obviously, when someone is forcefully trying to throw you off the bridge, you try to hold yourself back, to the point that Becky had to let herself go because they were struggling too much, and obviously they wouldn't let her go. And when they managed to get her on the other side of the rail, she was holding on so tight, and one of the men started strangling her, because you had to die one way or the other. So I'm either going to strangle you and you're going to fall as already a dead body, or we are going to throw you and you can meet your demise down there. So she was like, I'm not going to give them the pleasure of them strangling me. I'll just jump. And she just let herself go and she jumped in. Let me do my lashes off camera as always, and I'll be right back. I'm back with the lashes. So let's continue with the story. Becky did throw herself into the river, and that is when she didn't die. And by the time she reached up the bridge, there were two old couple that was going for fishing, and they saw a girl who was covered in dried blood, moving, struggling, and they immediately ran to her, and they reported that her skin on her bottom, it had all scraped off because of how she was trying to pull herself and crawl herself onto the main road. I just got goosebumps thinking and imagining the kind of pain this girl went through just because of these two men, and all for what? Nothing, honestly. They took her to the hospital, and Becky did not have a hard time describing her, the people who did that to her, and police immediately knew who Becky was talking about. They was like, this is just Chef Jenkins and Ron Kennedy's. And they were immediately arrested, and after the hearing, it took a jury about 5 hours of deliberation to come out with a guilty verdict, and they were both sentenced to death. That's what she gets. Becky miraculously survived, and she healed, and she was trying to just move on with her life, and she relocated and went to another city, and here her mental state was just still not that good, because the trauma of it all. She ended up getting married and having one kid, and the police officer who was called to her crime scene the first time he kept in touch with Becky, and he ended up walking her down the aisle. So Becky, I would say, and some people also said that Becky was actually the one who received the death sentence, because life was really cruel to her and it did not give her a chance, because after this she was struggling with her mental health, with the trauma, and she was going for therapy, and her therapist ended up assaulting her sexually. Oh my God, it is so frustrating and so sad after all that she went through, and she's still going through this again. And this is someone you entrust with your, not your life, your past stories, and you're trying to, this is someone who is legally supposed to help you with your trauma and everything, but ends up taking advantage of you in the same way, other men did destroy your life. So it got so bad that she got divorced, and she moved back home divorced, and she was in debt, like with her 2-year-old kid. And when she moved back, she started like trying to get her life together, and she did get a boyfriend. And at this time, the death sentence for the two men was reversed to life imprisonment. And in 1992, Jerry and Ken tried to bid for a new trial, this resulting to, Becky being very skeptical about the outcome. She was like, oh my God, they will get out, and she could not handle it. So it really weighed down on her, though I really don't know if they succeeded or not. And that resulted to her like visiting the crime scene, and her boyfriend at the time thought that this was not a good idea at all. But Becky was like, I really, really need to go back to that place. I just need to, contemplate just one more time. And he was like, okay, just this once. But all through the while, he was like, I do not think you should go back there. I do not think this is a good idea. The boyfriend was skeptical about, going to the bridge, but she insisted on it. So they drove there. And mind you, all this while the baby was, seated at the back seat. And when they reached there, Becky was like, I need, I just need some time alone. So the boyfriend was like, okay, this is what we'll do. I'll give you time alone, and after you finish it, come back to the car, and we'll go have a good dinner and forget about all this. I'm here for you. Like he really loved this girl. And the saddest thing happened, because no one can describe exactly what happened next, because no one knows apart from Becky. Because one moment she was standing there, and the next moment she was gone. And people do speculate that it's suicide. Others speculate that she just fell. I don't know. I mean, like, it's been 19 years of trying to deal with this. Life had been so unfair to her. So this is the reason as to why people are saying that her death was really 19 years in the making. This is why. And it is a coincidence that the same officer who was called during the first incident was the same officer who was called this time. And it broke his heart, because he had kept like really close touch to Becky all through these years. Remember, I even said like he walked her down the aisle when she was getting married. He was watching for her. He just wanted her to be okay. He wanted her to win. David Dovala was the name of that officer, and he was even interviewed, and he said those two men killed the two girls. They literally destroyed a family. They killed the two sisters. They left the mom, Tori, in a very dark place. The other siblings, they did cut short the life of Amy. And pretty much for the next 19 years since the incident happened, Becky did not have it easy, as obviously life really, these two men really destroyed, the life. And almost 50 years on, the town of Casper is still being haunted by the story of the two sisters and the bridge. And that was the really sad and unfortunate story of Becky Brown and her sister Amy. Some people say that she died twice. I can see why. So yeah, that was today's story. And this is today's makeup look. I decided to go for, you know, some smoky eyes, some royal blue, glossy lip. Anyway, please do not forget to subscribe, like, share, click on that bell icon down below, turn on your notification, support a sister. And as you can see, I did change my background. Yeah, hopefully it's going to change again. Like, I know it's going to change again until I find like what I really want. But until then, yeah, so make good choices, stay safe, wear your mask while outside, please practice social distancing, and sanitize. Do not forget to sanitize. Until next time, bye.